within the first month, I had my first deal, dispositioned it, and made, pretty good buck. It was like 26.5 on my first deal. So I thought that this is going to be wildly easy. And then deal number 2 didn't come for a long time. And that's when I was like, all right, come back to reality, and you really got to build out the systems and really build this business. I brought on another 2 people locally to help me with dispositions and further acquisition. So I ended year 1 doing 12 deals that yielded just shy of $300K in revenue.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Die Hard Entrepreneur Stories. I am your host, Devin Ramos, and today you're going to want to stick around as we talk investing, specifically private money lending, especially if you're somebody who's just looking to get into it as maybe a borrower or a lender. Today, we speak with Cory Lawson. He's a husband, father, and seasoned sales and marketing professional with over 20 years of experience spanning cable entertainment, vision care, and real estate. Like many, Cory began real estate investing by studying it on the side. Then in 2021, amidst COVID, he made a bold move to go all in, launching a wholesaling business in Tampa, Florida. He did this by leveraging his expertise in sales and marketing, and boy, he did it well. Then in 2023, a family move to Baltimore prompted a strategic pivot. Cory transitioned into private money lending using a self-directed IRA that he had built over 2 decades to fund residential renovation projects for professional investors. Today, he combines his business acumen with a passion for helping bring new homes to market, supporting the success of his investment partners, and achieving strong asset-backed returns. His journey is a testament to adaptability, strategic thinking, and the power of putting capital to work for long-term wealth. Cory, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Devin. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, dude. I appreciate you coming on and having some grace with me through all of this for sure, dude.
No problem.
Well, so Cory, we talked a little bit about you had this sort of study period of a few years before like really jumping in, and you were sort of highlighting in a sense of like it was a learning experience for you. So tell me a little bit about that, and why maybe you view it as taking long, maybe you don't, but why you view it the way you do as a learning experience.
Sure. So let's go back to like 2011.
Okay.
My wife and I had never bought a property before. In 2011, my wife and I were going to buy our first property together, our primary house.
Okay.
We were no longer going to be renters. And we found this great townhouse, and it had been a foreclosure house, and then it became a short sale. And we got a really good opportunity to purchase it at a really good price. So we lived in it for 5 years. And over that time, we got into a point where we were starting a family, and we were expecting our first daughter, and the house just wasn't set up for what we needed. So it was like a 3-story townhouse with the master on the middle floor, and the bedrooms on the 3rd floor. And that wasn't going to work for us. Yeah. So we wound up selling the house and moving to another house that did work for us. And when we sold the house, because we made we purchased at such a good number. When we sold it, we made enough profit where we were able to pay off all of our student loan debt. So I'm a big proponent of education. So I went undergrad and then to business school. My wife had undergrad and law school. And in one transaction, we wiped out all of our remaining student loan debt. And at that point, I knew the power of real estate. And that was in 2016. So as a new father, 2016 was really focused on being a dad and figuring out how to be a dad. And then in 2017, I started doing some more research on real estate investing, started reading all the books and reading online and listening to, other podcasts and everything like that. And I did that for about 4 years. And I think what kind of held me back was just this fear that people have. Like, you need to know everything from start to finish before you take the first step. And then I realized there's no perfect time to jump in to do anything. You just got to take the first step. So that's what I did in 2021. I decided to bet on myself. I got to this point where I'm ready. I'm ready to take the first step. And then I'll figure out the second step and the third step. But it took me 4 years to get to that point. But it was great. That's kind of how I went from just being on the sideline and reading to getting in the game and taking action to build my real estate journey. Start down that pathway.
I love it. And so what did that look like at that point? Like what was sort of your strategy for getting into real estate and like starting a real estate company and all that?
So I had great support from my wife and my family, which is like pivotal. That's wildly important. I found a community, a mastermind that was very supportive. I originally thought I wanted to be a real estate agent. Oh, okay. And my wife is like, you're not going to enjoy that. Sure. So I made that even then I was like 2 weeks into studying for this exam, and I pivoted there and started focusing on, getting up to speed on investing. So through this community, I learned about wholesaling, and I thought, all right, this matches great with my background in sales and marketing. And I talked to my wife and I said, listen, I think I can make this happen. I took out a loan from the family. And I built out a budget and built out, how long I could do this for until that loan ran out. And I figured if I can make it happen, it's going to happen. If I can't, I'll go back to, I gave it the try and I'll go back to what I was doing. And thankfully, within the first month, I had my first deal. Nice. Dispositioned it and made, pretty good buck. It was like 26.5 on my first deal.
Yeah.
Nice. It was like first appointment, first deal. So I thought that this is going to be wildly easy.
So your expectations were just all wrong.
Yeah. I called my wife and I was like, this is going to be so easy.
Yeah. Oh man.
And there's, in talking shop with other investors, there's like two ways this first couple steps down the path go. It's like you get the instant success like I had, or you struggle and struggle and struggle. Well, I got the instant success, and then deal number 2 didn't come for a long time.
Okay.
And that's when I was like, all right, come back to reality, and you really got to build out the systems and really build this business. And thankfully I did, and went into finishing out the first year doing pretty well.
I love that.
Yeah,
man. So that 26,000 you got at first, when that came through, were you like sold? Like, I'm a believer. Like this is
real?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I was a believer. I took part of that money and kind of put it to the side. I reinvested a lot of it into the business. And then I think it was around deal 3 or 4, I had enough in the business. I was like, all right, it's time to pay back the family.
Nice.
So I, pulled that money out and so cool. Paid back the family within 90 days. And then everything else was the business. Yeah. So I didn't have any, I didn't have any other liens against the business, as they say, from the family loan.
Sure.
So, yeah.
That's so cool. And then you said that first year was pretty successful. What did that look like for you?
Sure.
And like to include like your marketing. I'm curious what you were doing for marketing.
Sure. So I started everything by myself, bootstrapping it. Ooh, okay. So I was doing cold calling. So in Tampa at the time, cold calling was very, very successful. Nice. So I was making the calls on a single line dialer. And when I started getting appointments, I was like, okay, I got to figure something out because I can't go on appointments and continue the appointment setting at the same time. Like that's not going to work. So that's when I brought on some VA help to do the outbound calls. And then the next person I built out was a lead manager to oversee the cold callers. And I brought that in-house. I didn't outsource it to a call center. I brought it in-house so I could have more control. I started with a call center, and that got me my first deal. But once I had kind of money into the business, I wanted to have more control over how the VAs were speaking to the clients, the potential sellers, because everyone has a corporate culture, and the way I went about business, I wanted to make sure that every touch point in the business, the VAs and the lead manager were representing us the right way. So I brought it in-house. And at that point, so I had cold callers, I had a lead manager who was setting my appointments. I spent a lot of time just going on appointments. I spent a lot of windshield time in my truck, just going from appointment to appointment. I was still underwriting all of the offers. And at one point, we started building out a social media platform. So I found this VA that was wildly talented. She actually started as a cold caller, and I called her and I said, "Listen, you're not a very good cold caller, but I don't think that's where your passion is." She's like, "No, but I'm trying really hard." I was like, "You're a marketer and a social media marketer. How would you like to build out my social media presence and and redo my website?" She's like, "That would be amazing." So she was the right person to be on the bus. I just got her into the correct seat. And wildly successful partnership for several years. And then I started to a point where, not in year one, but future years, I brought on another 2 people locally to help me with dispositions and further acquisition. So I ended year 1 doing 12 deals. Nice. I got to go look at the numbers, and that yielded just shy of 300K in revenue.
Wow.
And then if you take out the expenses and everything, like everyone talks about, revenue is vanity, but
sure.
Cash is king, and profit is sanity. So we ended the year at about 180,000 in profit.
Wonderful.
Like once we took out the expenses of marketing and salaries and everything like that. So I had a good first year. I was like, I can build this out. And then, started refining the systems and everything like that. So it started humming along. It was a lot of work. It was long days, 80-hour weeks, when a prospect is available to have their property walked, you go. So it was challenging at home, but the business was building.
I love that. And so you did that for a few years, and
about 2.5 years. Okay. Yeah, building that business.
And then remind me, and you say you stayed wholesaling the whole time. You didn't like flip or any other exit strategies. Okay, that's awesome.
I learned that flipping wasn't going to be a passion for me. Okay. I liked interacting with the sellers. Some people don't. I enjoyed it. I liked understanding their problems and coming up with a solution that satisfied that problem. And quite frankly, I like the immediacy of walking the property, getting the contract, getting through escrow, closing it, recognizing revenue, and moving on. Yeah. Relatively in a short amount of time, 30 days or less. I knew I wasn't going to be the person built for putting scopes of works together and managing contractors and all of that. Some people love that. Yeah. I don't. Some people hate dealing with sellers and that kind of thing. I love it. So everyone has different strengths, but I knew, if those were the 2 routes, like wholesaling or renovation, I knew I was going to be successful in wholesaling.
Yeah. I heard you say, I leveraged my sales and marketing expertise. And then another thing that you had said was, it suited me the best when you're referencing wholesaling. And that's such good insight. I love that you're like, hey, I got this skill set that I built over 20 years. Let me just plug it in here. And when I think about this, so as I coach other investors, I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm like, man, why is it like your story here? You used a call center, and you closed a deal, and then I'll see some investors start out, and it's like they're just not closing deals. They'll use a call center. Some won't use a call center. Like there's like different things, and every situation's different. I'm not talking like blanket, but one thing that I observe is each person brings a different set of experience and skills to the game. And to me, it makes sense. You have this strong sales and marketing experience. So like all you need is like one at bat and you're good. Right. And so like if this company you're using to do intake can get you one at bat, you're straight. Whereas somebody else, they might need 4 or 5 at bats, and shoot, it might take a call center a lot of tries to get that many at bats. And so like, as I kind of think about these things, you know, I'm being introspective of my own journey as well. Cause I got some success pretty quick. And once again, I brought some experience to the table and I leveraged that. And I think that's why it proved to work for me. So it just makes me think about the way that we train and we help others. And to me, I think that you're doing them a disservice if you're not acknowledging their experience and how that plays into their strategy versus just telling everybody like, no, just take action, pick up the phone and call people. Like, you know, and I'm not saying people should be slow to action, but what I am saying is like, you can't treat everybody's situation the same, I think.
Yeah, for me, it took me 20 years to master my sales and marketing craft. So it's not like I was born, with these skills. It took a long time to develop them. And I also wanted to be well-versed on the rehabber side. Like I wanted to understand what was important to them. So I reached out to many investor buddies of mine that were rehabbers. And I was like, what's important to you? Like, how do you want to work with a wholesaler to make your life better, that you get excited when a deal from them comes through your inbox? So I understood that, and they appreciated that, and they actually would help me make sure that my numbers were dialed in for what things cost, what a new HVAC system costs, a kitchen remodel, all of that. So I could be sharper on my numbers when I made my offers. But that's, I was more about the quality of the appointment versus the quantity of appointments.
Good. Yeah.
So, and I knew I wanted to do everything initially, cold calling and setting appointments and lead intake and follow up. So I knew what worked and what didn't. So I could bring in people that would ideally do it better than me. Yeah. And, admittedly, when I get on the phone with people, I tend to talk a lot, and I need somebody that can be likable. I need somebody to be likable, but not spend 40 minutes on the phone call. So I knew people that could get solicit the information that we needed, qualify the potential seller, and then politely get off the phone and set the appointment. Yeah. For me, I was spending a lot of time because I was genuinely interested in that seller and their story and their situation, why they were calling me, why they needed potentially my help. So I found people that did the job better than me because I knew the highest and best use of my time was face to face with that seller and understanding what's going on with them.
I love that. That's good insight right there. And I could totally see that being the case. You're a people person, and sometimes sometimes it's easy to get off track. Okay, Cory. So you did that for a couple of years, and then in 2023, y'all made a decision to move to Tampa. What was that about?
Move from Tampa.
From Tampa. Sorry, move from Tampa. Yeah.
Sure. So my wife is wildly talented. I totally married up. She is smart and kind and intelligent and beautiful. And she's an attorney at a kind of a boutique firm that had 4 offices, and one of them was in Tampa. And there was an opportunity for her to take a more of a senior role, but it required a relocation to Baltimore. So we discussed it as a family, and it was a really great opportunity for her. So as a family, we made the decision to move to Tampa. So during that time, we probably made that decision at the late end of the summer of 2022. And the girls were about to start school, and we didn't want to interrupt that. And there was no immediate need to get to Tampa because she was staying within the firm. She was just moving to a different office. So in that time, I finished out the active deals that we had in escrow, and slowly started to wind down the business because I knew that it was going to be a challenge to start it all over again. And just the way I ran the business in a new market that I didn't know. It's doable, but it took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to start it in Tampa. And I knew with my wife's new opportunity, it was going to be very demanding on her time. And the reason we moved up was to set her up for long-term career success. So at that point, I was like, I had been building this for 2.5, 3 years. And one of the, challenging parts was, informing the team that I built that this was happening. That, was very challenging, not only for them, but for me too. And thankfully, I have such a great network of investors locally in Tampa, but also nationally, that I was actually able to place, I think all but one of my people with fellow investors that were looking for top tier talent. Yeah. So I made a few phone calls. I said, hey, I have this rock star cold caller or lead intake or what have you, social media manager, and was able to, get them hooked up with other investors. Wow. So in the course of the following year, wound down the business, started looking for a new home to purchase in Baltimore, which trying to buy a house from 1,000 miles away is a bit of a challenge. And then getting the girls set up because we didn't really know where we were going to live, and getting the girls set up with the school. And once we got up here, which was in the summer of 23, then getting settled with school and activities. And we bought a 95-year-old house that came with 95-year-old issues. So I had quite the punch out list to do when I got up here. But in that time also, I started to think, all right, I'm not going to be actively wholesaling at this point in Baltimore. I'm wrapping things up in Tampa. What can I do? What opportunities do I have? And I had rolled my 401k into a self-directed IRA. My 20 years of corporate was just sitting there. I rolled it into a self-directed IRA and it wasn't doing anything. So I was like, how can I leverage this, bucket of money to grow my retirement and make sure that we're, I'm looking out for tomorrow, looking out for our retirement.
I love that.
So that's how I got into private money lending.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. And, for our listeners who may or may not be familiar with some of the terms we're throwing around here, can you just give a really quick big picture on what an IRA is first and foremost, Sure. and then what self-directing it means versus any alternatives, and just give a little bit of that.
Yeah, so there's several retirement vehicles, retirement accounts that people can participate in. Probably the most notable one for people that are working in corporate is a 401k. Okay. You contribute as an employee to the 401k, and maybe or maybe not your employer contributes to it, and it grows. And you pick, you can pick your own stocks, or if you're like me, I just picked a target fund. I picked the fund. It was 2045 when I'm looking to retire, and just set it and forget it. If you're in the government version is a TSP, a thrift savings account, which is kind of the government version of 401k. So if you are a government employee, military personnel, that kind of thing. So those are two of the more common ones. And then you have IRAs, which is a independent retirement account. And you can roll money into an IRA, and you can, again, pick your own stocks or pick a target fund, but there's an option for a self-directed IRA where you can elect to also invest in alternative investment opportunities. You can invest in startup businesses. You can invest in restaurants. You can invest in precious metals. You can invest in real estate. So I had known people, mentors of mine, that were in the private money lending space. And you can lend privately with all sorts of different funding sources. If you happen to be independently wealthy and have discretionary income or discretionary funds, you can, lend with that. You can liquidate stock and lend with that. For me, I had an IRA account that I could self-direct to renovation projects. So that's what I elected to do. And I found a IRA custodian, a company that would hold the money, just like, a John Hancock or a Raymond James or Fidelity. So this is another type custodian, and they focus on IRAs. And they will handle all the paperwork to make sure that you are compliant with, the activities that you're going to fund. And they will, handle all the paperwork. They will actually send the money, like send wires to the closing companies and that kind of thing, and manage the process. But you have to take the opportunity to them. They don't bring opportunities to you.
Let's say I have like 50,000 in savings or 10,000 in savings, and investing that money versus using this money. If you could cover a little bit about that as well.
Sure. And in private money lending, you can use all different sources of money. You can actually, if you have equity in your house, you could take a home equity line of credit, a HELOC, and take the money that was, equity in your house and invest with that. And absolutely you can kind of mix and mingle. And what I mean by that is, let's say I get a call where a rehabber says, "Hey, Cory, I'm looking for $100,000 to fund a renovation or fund a purchase of a property with a renovation." Okay, $100,000. Let's say I have 50 available in my IRA, and then I take that plus I have, 20,000 in savings. I can use that. And then for the balance of the other 30, I pull out equity of my house with a home equity line of credit. I can do that. And together, it's basically 3 streams of money being wired into the closing company that actually handles the transaction of like the bank, because I would be the bank sending money to the borrower. Okay. And that's essentially, you have 3 streams of money coming into one bucket of funds that get lent to the borrower.
Gotcha.
So you can use any number of funding sources, money sources. And one of the things that, we'll hopefully spend a little bit of time on later is you can actually partner with other people. Yeah. So, let's say the ask again is $100,000. I have 50, but I call my buddy Devin, who has an IRA with 50,000. We can go in together and, again, 2 streams of money and fund that opportunity together.
That makes sense. So let me say it back to you, because I think I understand. Let's say somebody, and we'll get to this because this is going to be my next question, but let's say somebody has an opportunity and they say, "Hey, I'm willing to pay 12%, but I need $100,000. And you're like, "Man, I would really like that 12% return, but I only have 50. And they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I need 100. I could call you and I could say, "Cory, dude, we can get 12%. Here's the deal, but this guy needs 100. I only have 50. Let's put our money together." And then boom, all of a sudden now we have the ability to make the 12% on the 100, where we wouldn't have otherwise, because neither one of us had enough money to actually fund it. Right. That's
sure.
What I'm hearing.
Exactly. So we would go in together, and you would make 12% on your 50K, and I would make 12% on my 50K.
Nice.
During the lending period. So from when we lend the money to when it gets repaid.
I love that. So Cory, as you started this journey, why lending? what was it that attracted you to that? Like, it sounds like you stayed within the real estate investing space, investing in real estate assets, but like, why private lending?
It was something that I had access to. I had
Okay.
this
Resources.
ability, this I had this resource.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
I didn't necessarily know how to utilize it yet. And I knew that I wasn't just in this season of life with a move for my spouse's career opportunity and young kids. I needed flexibility to continue earning active income through my sales and marketing consulting. But I also wanted to be involved in real estate. So just the time it takes to build out a business like I had in Tampa, I knew I wasn't going to be able to recreate that right now in Baltimore. So I had this resource of funds. Okay, how can I utilize this? I know there's power in real estate. And I knew a little bit to be dangerous about private money lending. But as I did before, I started doing a little bit of research. I just didn't take as long to jump in the game. I found some people that were further down the path than I was in private money lending, willing to share their knowledge and help me be set up for success. So I could make the decision to provide lending. And I had, through my network of wholesaling, I had a solid network of rehabbers, renovation investors that I started putting the word out. I have money to lend. And the deals came to me. The deals opportunities came to me.
Okay. Yeah. Cause that was going to be my next question was like, if I'm like, say I'm just getting out of the military or, I'm just transferring from my corporate job or whatever. And I have this money self-directed. Like, how do I lend that? Like, where do I go to? What's the first step? What would you say to somebody that asks that question?
Sure. And believe me, like, because I was there not too long ago, I'm happy to share my knowledge with others on how to get this set up because I was there. So the first thing is you have to get the money into an account that allows you to do that. So a self-directed IRA with a custodian that will look out for your interests and self-direct on your behalf. So that's the first thing for me, an IRA. Or if you just have money in a savings account, you can fund directly from that as well. The next thing is you need to have opportunities to fund. So you need to, build out a network or put the word out that you have funds to lend. For me, just because I had 2.5 years, 3 years of meeting rehabbers, I had that network of folks. And I just put the word out like, hey, I have private funds to lend out. And my value proposition, this goes back to marketing, is I will make your life easier dealing with me than you have to go deal with a big bank or a community bank or even a hard money lender. Like, I will make the process easier working with me. And for renovation investors, if you can make their life easier, they're all ears.
Yeah, no, I mean, 100%, they're having been there and 100%, like I'm right there with you. That's one of my biggest things, for me initially, when I first started borrowing money from anyone, banks, private money lenders, hard money lenders, it was just about like, hey, who's going to trust me? But then once you build that trust and you start to build the reputation, it becomes like more about like, hey, who do I want to work with first and foremost? Who am I aligned with? And generally those people have acceptable rates for me because, they have a decent return they want to make, but it still works for me. But then, also there's not a bunch of red tape. Like they're going to make it a little bit easier and it ebbs and flows. But yeah, if I can work with somebody that I know we have strong trust and their process is professional, but straightforward versus maybe it's an institution or like a bank or maybe it's like, some larger hard money lender or something, but they have like all these hoops to jump through. It's a deterrent for sure. So that's good.
And, I've been lending, going into a year and a half.
Okay.
And my philosophy when I started, and I'm still doing this, is you work with people that like, and trust.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't personally, I don't work with people that I don't personally know.
Yeah.
And at this point, I don't have to go that route yet because I have such a solid network of people that are sending me opportunities. I don't have enough money for the opportunities that come to me.
Yeah.
So that's why I've done some co-lending with people that have, seen what I'm doing. They're interested, but they're a little scared because they don't know all the processes. So I'll sit down with them and go through the whole process and how their money will be secured. And I actually co-lend with them. So we're in the same boat. And I'm not in the business of losing money. Yeah. So that helps them feel comfortable with me.
Yeah.
And I need to feel comfortable with my borrower that they're going to be solid and perform. But the biggest thing, once you kind of have your tactical stuff, as far as a new private money lender set up, like you're tactically set up, like you can actually send money. Mm-hmm. The next thing is you need to have opportunities to lend on. Mm-hmm. And that's where I was, I'm very blessed that I have deals being sent to me that I vet and, will look at the numbers, run the numbers, green light them or not. And I'm not a one and done kind of private money lender. I don't want to lend to one person once. I want to build that long-term relationship. And I have, a handful of people that we're going on 4, 5, 6 deals together.
Nice.
Like they're happy with the process of working with me. I'm happy with the returns that I've gotten. And I always like when the loan gets repaid, great. What's in your pipeline? Yeah. Like what's coming up?
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm, for a couple of them, I'm their preferred. I'm the first call they make. Yeah. When they're getting a new deal, I'm the first call they make. Like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. I'll send you the numbers. You let me know.
Yeah.
So, which is nice to be like, dating myself, but like you're number one on the speed dial, like for lending.
Sure. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, it's the power of that relationship there, right? It makes, every other part of that business for you a little bit easier because you're not like chasing opportunities, so to speak. Right.
Right.
So I could definitely see that. So what was, as you're making this transition, was it similar or maybe dissimilar to starting your real estate company through wholesaling? Where like, we kind of have like these beliefs that need to be changed. Sometimes we have like these fears we need to get over. Or was it like pretty cut and dry? Did it look any different to you?
It was a little bit. Again, I had to do everyone struggles with like, a little bit of self-doubt. Mm-hmm. I had it when I started the wholesaling business, and for private money lending, I did some research on it. I talked to some people. I felt like I was prepared, but still like you're a little bit like, what don't I know? What don't I know? And then I had a conversation with a mentor of mine. They're like, Cory, you've run the numbers. You're prepared. Like you know what a good deal is. You know what a bad deal is. Like, and you have documentation in place. Like the other thing I'm a big proponent of like is risk mitigation. Like I don't want to lose money, and I don't want my borrowers to be in a bad situation. Selfishly, if my borrowers defaulted, that would be amazing for me financially, but that would be terrible for the partnership. It would be terrible for the borrower, and the likelihood of doing another deal together would go dramatically down. And I want to do, like I said, I want to do multiple deals with these solid borrowers. That's why I only work with people that are solid. So I had to start trusting, my preparation. And when I did that, I funded the money and I was like, I hope this works out. But then it worked out. Like I had built in the documentation and the processes, and the communication was set up, and the expectations were set with the borrower, that I felt very comfortable with it. And now, I can't remember how many loans I've originated now, probably 10. It's like second nature. My goal now is I want to set up the next deal like immediately after money comes in. To give you an example, I have money that just came back in last Wednesday. So today's Tuesday, less than a week ago Wednesday, and I'm trying to get that money out before the end of the week. I already have a deal. I'm literally waiting on the paperwork to be sent to me for review. And then we're going to fund, I've already prepped my IRA custodian that this needs it. As soon as I, say we're good, you need to be funding that money because I want to be turning that as quick as possible. And because the more time I can get that money out, it's working. It's earning more money. My money's working for me. And the borrower's like, I can use the money as soon as it's ready. So that's what I'm working on now. Like the belief that the numbers don't work. I've done the work to underwriting and looking at the numbers and running comps and all that. I'm solid in all of that. Now, my biggest challenge is getting the paperwork turned around and waiting on attorneys and title companies to get me information that I can review and approve as fast as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially going through a custodian, because there's a delay in everything. Like you can't expect everybody to action an email immediately. So delay here. So I even set up expectations.
With my account rep at my custodian. I was like, listen, when I call you, it's not really to shoot the breeze. I mean, you're a nice guy and I like chatting with you, but when I call you, I need something and I need it turned around pretty quickly. And he's like, I know we've been working together for 18 months. I know that's the situation.
Yeah, that's really cool. Wow, man. And so you started out investing this way, but you were telling me earlier that you had diversified your lending by investing it like another type of way. Can you talk about that as well?
Sure. So what I call diversified private money lending is I actively invest in my own deals that cross my desk with people that I know, like, and trust. But there's other opportunities where you can be an investor in for me, in a hard money fund. Okay. So a hard money fund, if people aren't familiar, is a renovation investor can go to a hard money fund, and you can simply Google hard money lenders and 1,000 of them will pop up. I happen to have a very good relationship with the fund manager of one particular one called Express Hard Money. And I've lent a amount of my IRA money to that fund, and that money gets kind of cobbled together with all of the other money that's under management in that fund and gets lent out to renovation rehab investors nationally. And for me, it mitigates, it diversifies my exposure. And it truly is a passive vehicle for me, because once I've sent that money and it's been working for 18 months, I don't do anything. It's the fund manager and the hard money business whose job is to keep that money working and provide me my quarterly dividend. So it's truly passive for me.
Why 18 months?
I've had that money out working for 18 months.
Oh, you're just saying, sorry. I took that as like there was an 18-month mark. Sorry, that's
no, for me. Yeah, for me, I funded it at the beginning of last year. I sent the money to the fund, and their job is to keep it working. We essentially do the same thing. I get deals, I underwrite them, and I make sure all the documentation's set, and I fund it myself. They do the same exact thing on a much larger scale, and they handle all of the work. They underwrite the deals. They review the paperwork. They handle all the interaction with the borrower. It's
like a little more passive, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Like when I underwrite a deal, I have maybe 10 hours into it.
Yeah.
From when the deal hits my inbox, I look at the numbers, I run some things, I have a conversation with the borrower, green light it, review documentation to funding. So from like getting the email to wiring the money, I probably have like 10 hours of my time invested in that over the course of a couple of days. I don't do that as an investor in the hard money fund. They do that.
Yeah.
You do, and for me,
one time you send it to them. That's it.
One time, 18 months ago. And now I just, every quarter, I get my dividend.
Gotcha.
And it also spreads out my risk. So if I have a property that defaults, that's going to be a big hit to me and a lot of work and to clean that, process up, clean that issue up. If they have it, it's going to be a work for them to clean it up, but they have many, many more loans out. Mm-hmm. So it spreads out the risk profile. So as somebody that's an investor in that, if one deal out of, I don't know how many loans they have, but let's say they have 50 loans out. If one goes south, it's not as a big of an impact because the other 49, will be okay. Mm-hmm. For me, if I have 5 loans out and one goes south, that's a big impact. That's a 20% impact to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's good. I was like, as you were saying that, I was like thinking about this and I was kind of picturing this. I was like, it's like, you think about it. It's like if I have $10, if I have a wad of $10 bills and I lose a bill, that's different than if I have one $10 bill and I lose that $10 bill, right? Like I lose that $10 bill, I just lost everything I have. But if I have a wad of $10 bills and I lose a bill, like, hey, I lost $1. And so, yeah, that's good.
And what I love about the diversified lending is because I'm lending out of my IRA, which is a retirement account, and I'm not 59 and a half, I can't recognize dividends as ordinary income because I'll be taxed on it. And I don't want to be taxed on it. So what I do with my dividend is I actually roll it over into the account and let it compound.
Nice. So it just builds and builds and builds and builds.
It just builds and builds and builds. So every quarter I get the dividend, it rolls right back into the account. So as the kind of the data nerd that I am, I modeled this out, knowing kind of for my profile at, 43 years old and when I want to retire, and there's some milestones when, my first daughter is 18 and if she chooses to go to college and, graduates at 22, what that mark would be, what year, same with my second child. So I have modeled that out as well as, when I would be eligible to access Social Security, if Social Security is still around, what that mark would be. So based on when I want to retire, and my wife and I have talked about this, I will take, full disclosure, $100K investment and turn it into a little over 1.2 funding money one time and just, watching the account go up.
Yeah. Wow. That's really amazing. And the other thing I heard in this is like when you're investing your money outside of this fund, like you're investing directly to investors. So like I'm coming to you and I'm saying, hey, Cory, I have this deal. What do you think? You say, yep. You send me the money. I do a deal. I get done. I send you your money back. You like you said, you got some money back last Wednesday. So then you have this gap, a time where you're like, I got to find a deal. I got to find a deal. I got to find a deal. But when you invest in this fund, the money stays deployed. You send it, it's deployed. So like the hard money lender, they're the ones out there finding guys like me to send money back and forth and make their returns. And so they have to be really efficient and very fast with that money, I would think, so that they can consistently pay you and it's still worth it to everybody. So is that sort of how it works? Am I tracking on that?
No, absolutely. So the only way your money works is if it's out working, if it's being lent. So when I have a deal that's about to close, so, this is exactly what happened 2 weeks ago. The borrower calls me. It's like, hey, Cory, things are going good. We're looking to satisfy the loan and close this particular day, which is August 6th, last Wednesday. I said, great. I got on the horn to other borrowers that I've worked with and said, hey, I'm going to have approximately X amount of money coming in. What do you have in the pipeline? And was able to line up my next deal to close after this money has been returned. So, I mean, I tried to push it to turn it around by Friday last week,
Sure.
but couldn't get that done. I wish everyone moved as fast as I did, but they don't. But my goal is to have it lent out by this Friday. So it will be not working for, 10 days. So,
okay.
And that period is what I call orphaned money. It's not working.
Sure.
And I want to minimize the time that money is not working. I also want to minimize the amount of money that remains in my IRA account. The lower, the better. That means everything else is out working. And for the hard money fund, it's the same thing. They want to make sure that they have a pipeline of funding opportunities. So they're keeping all of the money that they have under management out working on behalf of their investors.
Okay.
The people that are lending them money into the fund to keep it working so that they can pay their quarterly dividends to those investors.
And keep it going. Yeah. So Cory, you had mentioned that these pots of money that you're using for these different lending opportunities, they are coming from your IRA. Are they only coming from your IRA, or do you also have cash that you stockpiled, or like you'd mentioned a HELOC or anything else like that you're also lending out?
Me personally, no.
Okay.
But it's a good intro into another tool that I use, which I call co-lending. Okay. So co-lending would be me and somebody else co-funding a loan. We kind of touched on it, I think, a little earlier. But let's say you call me up and you're like, "Hey, I have a need for $100,000. I have 50 available in my IRA, but I also, because people have seen what I am doing with private money lending, and I've built relationships of people that are interested in lending with me, I will make some phone calls and say, hey, I have this opportunity. The ask is $50,000. I ran the numbers. It's a solid deal. We'll get on the phone, go through all the details, and they will or will not want to go into the deal with me. And I've co-lent with, out of 10 deals, I think I've co-lent with 4 people.
Oh, okay.
So 40% of my deals have been co-lent. Nice. And they're completely protected the same way I'm protected. So it's 2 streams of money coming in to one borrower. Right. And we're through the same documentation and paperwork, we're both protected, and they are the beneficiary of the same terms that I am. So they're making the same terms on their money, interest rate, and all of that, as I am, and we're in it together. Which, when you're a new lender, this is new. Like, not a lot of people are knowledgeable or quite frankly comfortable with private money lending on real estate deals because we're conditioned not to. We're not knowledgeable about that. For me personally, like, Cory, go get a job, work for a company, contribute to your 401k. They're going to match it and your company's going to take care of you. Like, pumped into me for so many years was just 401k. That's the answer. And it's a good avenue, but it's not the only avenue.
Right.
So a lot of my discussions with people that are interested is educating them on how this is a safe investment because of the risk mitigation activities that I've taken to do, which again is in the documentation. We hold a mortgage. We have a promissory note. We have a personal guarantee. I'm listed on the title insurance. I'm listed on the property insurance during the renovation. So we're completely protected as much as possible for anything that could potentially happen to that deal. And people appreciate that. And I tell them, like, we're in this together. If this deal goes sideways, it goes sideways for both of us. And thankfully, I've never had a deal go sideways. Not to be like boastful, but I run tight numbers, and I only work with people that are professionals that I know, like, and trust, and that have a track record for success. And of that handful of people, I do multiple deals with them. Like, I wouldn't lend money to somebody that wasn't a good operator, but I will lend money multiple times to a phenomenal operator, and I have.
Yeah, it sounds like you are underwriting the deal for sure. A deal's got to be a deal, but you're like also underwriting whoever that borrower is. Like,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. Yep.
I hear that.
And that's another thing that the co-lenders will come to me for expertise. They're like, hey, this sounds great. I don't really know the numbers.
Yeah.
And that's where I will educate them on the numbers, and we'll go through them together because, it wasn't too long ago that I started a wholesaling business, and then I started a private lending business there was lots of stuff that I didn't know. And I was very blessed and very grateful for others that were further down the path that had that knowledge and were willing to share it with me. So I'm all about sharing my knowledge and helping to build wealth for others.
I love that.
And
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say, and I do it together because I want to show them that we're in this together. I'm not just going to, say, hey, Devin's a great operator and he's going to take 50,000 of your dollars. And I hope it doesn't go sideways.
Yeah. Right.
No, it's co-lending. We're in it together.
Yeah. I love that. It's in my opinion, it says a lot about who you are in that you're willing to take that position, So, I know if I was kind of new to it and I already had an existing relationship with you, it helped for sure. And, you're potentially helping somebody take the action they wouldn't take. And then they build that belief. And, next thing you know, they're like, oh man, this is a way better vehicle than, stock market or whatever. And of course I'm biased. I am. I lend too. But it just is. I don't, I'm biased, but it is like it's
a belief that people have to get over. And I was the same way. Again, I don't want to paint with a super broad brush, but it's just because it's new. And when things are new, people are kind of fearful of it until they start to understand what the opportunity is, what private lending is, how you protect yourself. And I take it as my charge to help people that have raised their hand and said, I am interested in learning more, to help share the information, share the knowledge that I have to get them comfortable with it, and go one more step forward and say, not only am I going to get you comfortable with it, I'm going to walk the first couple steps with you in the first deal. We're going to do it together.
That's good, Cory. Well, Cory, as we wrap up here, and maybe these questions go hand in hand, but like where are you headed? Like, as this business grows, what's sort of your vision for it, and where does scale, if it comes into play, where does scale come into play? Like, how does that work in this type of business?
So where I am personally is, again, I'm in my early 40s with a family and a amazing wife that is like going to take over the world. Like that's predetermined. Sure. So for me, my time is most precious to me. And I just, in this season of life, I don't have the time to rebuild a wholesaling business in a new market.
Sure.
But I also found passion in private money lending. One, I like working with good operators, good borrowers. I like being part of bringing home and home ownership opportunities to the market through renovation projects. And two, I like getting solid returns selfishly. So I'm looking out for tomorrow for my wife and I, our retirement, So where I'm looking to potentially scale is I would love to co-lend with others. Like, I wish I had all the money in the world. I don't. I have more opportunities that come to me that I don't have availability to fund. So I would say, if somebody's seeing this and they're interested to have a conversation, I'm more than happy to have a conversation with folks. Like, like I said, I feel like it's my duty to share this knowledge and share this opportunity of lending and getting solid returns that are asset backed. Like I'm all about, all the goodwill of working with great operators and bringing homeownership more opportunities and making solid returns. But I also want to help build that for others. So if somebody's interested, I'll definitely share my contact information. Somebody can absolutely reach out to me and we can set up a call to do that. And then the other thing I would say is if somebody's interested in the other diversified opportunity of working with Express Hard Money. And like I said, there's many hard money funds out there. I happen to have a personal relationship with the fund manager who is of high caliber, very ethical. His moral compass points true north. And he has placed documentation in place with his business to ensure the investors in his fund. So again, risk mitigation for everyone that's lending their money, because nobody wants to lose money, obviously. So for me, if somebody's interested in learning more about Express Hard Money and a truly passive vehicle, and it's funny, a neighbor of mine saw what I was doing on social media, talking about private money lending. And he calls me up. He's like, Cory, I'm interested. And I talked to him about both kind of routes. He's like, yeah, I just don't have the time for that first one they were talking about where you underwrite the deals and this and that. I'd like to talk to you about the hard money fund where I just have to send the money once and watch my account grow. Yeah. So my old neighbor is a investor in the private money fund. Okay. And that's just a connection. I got no benefit other than shared some information and made an introduction to the fund manager. Yeah. So I would say those are the two biggest things. I'm an open book, happy to share whatever information I have. Because, I've been able to sidestep a lot of landmines that I wouldn't have been able to if it weren't for people further down the path that were willing to share their information. And I'm all about doing the same for people that are starting out.
That's good. Awesome, Cory. Well, thank you so much for that. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, again, I really appreciate it, Devin, being on the podcast. I listen to it, love it, and glad to be a guest.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Well, Cory, where can our listeners link up with you, get in contact with you, and get to chat more about this?
Yeah, the easiest thing would be to drop me an email at Cory@clearskypropertysolutions.com, which is my business. And Devin will drop that contact information in the
show notes
description, I guess.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, show notes. Thank you. And then expresshardmoney.com is the hard money fund. And again, there's lots of them, but this one has a fund manager that's of high quality, high pedigree, and happy to share my experience with being a investor into that fund. So, and by all means, reach out. Happy to set up a call and share what information I have and answer any questions that they might have.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, folks. For our listeners, until next time, we'll see you.